we begin with Kevin McCarthy. Now, this is the man who, at some point, is going to have to bring forth impeachment proceedings against Joe Biden. If it ever happens, it'd be because this dickhead put them forward. And okay, first of all, it's a desperate ploy, obviously, to make people think of him as a serious leader. We know this. But at the same time, honestly, the worse the case gets against Biden, as far as just it falling apart, the louder he gets, which means he knows he's got an out. This is McCarthy. What foreign policy expert does business with Ukraine, China, rather than UK, Italy? Okay. First of all, Trump was doing business with the fucking Saudis and China, and he'd have a fucking Trump Tower Pyongyang if he could. Level 4 hype train. Thank you guys on Twitch. Love you guys. Now, this is his argument in theory that what makes it sketchy is that they're not making business deals with the UK and Italy specifically. Now, Trump has no deals with the UK or Italy, nor did he make any trade deals or really push for anything. If anything, he stiff-armed them. He did, however, kiss Vladimir Putin's ass and slow walk any sanction that we had towards him and minimize them as much as possible. And received a payment of $17 million in his Chinese bank account while he was president, 2017. And took $15 million of it out that night. Now, do we know it was Donald Trump who made the withdrawal? No. More than likely it was Eric, because it was either Trump or Eric, because both of them pled the fifth over 400 times. Now, let's get into why this is hinky, because who the fuck tries to, work in Ukraine? I don't know.
Now, it might help if certain reporters actually knew anything about the impeachment process. Anyway.
Well, I know a lot about it. I watched both of them, and had Trump not had senators running interference, he would have been bounced from office, and we wouldn't be dealing with most of this shit.
Here with more, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is with us. Mr. Speaker, great to have you. Why isn't it, maybe you should explain for the rest of the media what the difference is between an inquiry and an actual impeachment.
Yeah. Break it down for us. Because, I mean, what are you waiting for? It's an ironclad case. I read that today. It's an ironclad case. This is rock solid. All the evidence. James Comer said that Biden has broken an outrageous number of crimes. Outrageous! So, at some point, wouldn't it be easy? It kind of goes back again to that stack of 1,000 affidavits that apparently Rudy Giuliani had, but would never read in public. Why wouldn't you read them into the record? Maybe out of the 1,000, maybe just take the ones that are germane to the state that you're in, like Georgia, or when he showed up in fucking Pennsylvania or Arizona or anything. Just take those and just go, rather than make an opening statement, rather than make an argument, what I'm going to do is read into the record 25 of our 100 affidavits from this about people who were denied their vote or their vote wasn't counted or any of that shit. Wouldn't that, I mean, if you got a stack of 1,000, that would be easy, right? And if the Bidens have broken every crime in the book and they just try me crime, it should be pretty easy. Like, fuck, with Trump in the documents case, he's on tape saying he did it. That's not even work for me.
And what you mean by the apex of power.
Well, thank you for having me on, Sean. And just so everybody understands, when Congress, it's our role and constitutional responsibility.
I'm just a dick. Yes, I'm only a dick. And I'm sitting here with Sean, who's a prick. And I will break down the story so it sound really confusion, and try to teach you about it, but I think I've got a tumor 'cause I can't remember what I started to say. An impeachment inquiry? No way. I'm just a dick. Yes,
for oversight, to have investigations. We just don't go out and think of these investigations. We have
All right. First of all, no one's accusing you of thinking. Secondly, what you mean is make them up.
people from the IRS.
But that can I just point out that Freudian slip is amazing, considering who's saying it, because the fact that when he means fabricate something, make something up out of whole cloth, the word that comes to mind is think. Everything he thinks is bullshit.
Came forth with information. We have President Joe Biden, who told us when he's running that they received no money from China and he had nothing to do with his business. We've now found that no, we've had.
Well, with Hunter's business, yeah, he's everybody's got. I have a lot to do with my business.
Had informants that the FBI pays who came and said that they think it's pay to play with the Bidens. We've now found.
Oh, do you? Who would that be? Oh, you mean Rudy Giuliani? He was a trusted source around 9/11.
Found that the Biden family created 20 shell companies. Why?
Not what? Not 20 shell companies. Hold on. Okay, I don't go too far into it. Here we go. Trump campaign shell corporation funneled $617 million, according to reporting based on CLC complaint. Earlier this year, Campaign Legal Center filed a complaint with the Federal Election Committee alleging that the Trump campaign laundered $170 million in spending to conceal payments to people close to the Trump family and campaign. He made a campaign shell company. Oops, Jared Kushner reportedly created a shell company to secretly pay Trump family members and spend half the campaign's cash. Remember that? Oh, Trump's shell spending scheme comes under DOJ scrutiny. Special counsel Jack Smith appears to have set his sights on a number of Trump's vendors, and there's plenty to look into. Former President Donald Trump's Save America PAC raised tens of millions of dollars on false claims of election fraud, and now the feds want to know how it was spent. On Sunday, the New York Times reported that special counsel Jack Smith's team has subpoenaed a vast array of Trump vendors, posing questions related to how money was paid to other vendors, indicating that they were interested in whether some entities were used to mask who was being paid or if the payments were for genuine services rendered. While the details of Smith's inquiry are unknown, we do have something of a roadmap. The report from the January 6th House Select Committee, along with publicly available Federal Election Commission and IRS filings, can shine a light on some of those vendors, offering some insight into what may have caught the DOJ's eye. But the shell companies, okay, get out of here. Insight, how a Trump deal got a boost from a Chinese-based financier. What? A China-based financier, once reprimanded by U.S. regulators and barred from taking his company public, played a bigger role than is publicly known in the shell company that agreed to merge with former President Donald Trump's new social media venture, Truth Social. That's right. Chinese shell company, Truth Social. Yes. Little has been disclosed about the involvement of the financier, Abraham Sinta, and the Shanghai-based investment bank he leads, ARC Group Limited. In the shell company's regulatory filings, ARC is listed as financial advisor to Digital World Acquisition Group, the special purpose acquisition company SPAC that signed the deal in October to merge with Trump's new media platform, which, by the way, is in deep shit and failing miserably, and they weren't supposed to know where the money was going so that investors wouldn't know where they were putting their money. So anybody who bitches about insider trading, first talk to Marjorie Taylor Greene, who invested in the SPAC more than likely before she knew, was allowed to know that the money in the SPAC was going to Trump's company. Now, new information, text messages, a financial document outlining proposed terms of the shell company, an agreement between ARC and one of Digital World's creators, and interviews with 5 sources familiar with the situation shows that Sinta and ARC did not just advise Digital World, they offered money to create Digital World and recruited an executive to help put the company together. ARC offered to provide at least $2 million to 3 businessmen to form Digital World, the SPAC that went on to merge with Trump Media and Technology Group. And Sinta had a say in how the SPAC's management team would be compensated, according to the financial document and text messages between Sinta and others involved. I can't wait to see what role Tony Bobulinski has in the company. He'll make a great VP. Meanwhile, Trump shell company faces SEC investigation. Digital World said it would receive preliminary fact-finding inquiries in late October and early November. That's right. Here comes the next run of stories. I'm just saying, everybody got that? The SPAC. Yeah. So that's just 2 shell company SEC violations and engagements in criminal behavior that I just thought it'd be good that everybody, if you guys knew that.
We're going to be appointing very pro-crime judges.
That's well, that is true. In the meantime, though, let's see. There was one more. What Trump's disclosure of his 500 LLCs can and can't tell us. What Trump's disclosure of his own can tell us about his income and his business. President Donald Trump's latest financial disclosure includes details on the 500 or so. I'm sorry. That's rude of me. I've been saying 500 LLCs this whole time that he has personal ability to sign off on. I think he needs Weiselberg for the other 1,000. 500 or so limited liability companies he owns and their revenue. But what exactly is an LLC, and does disclosing the numbers provide more or less information about Trump's businesses? Trump uses a bevy of LLCs to house and manage his assets, as many wealthy individuals and businesses do, particularly in real estate. The Mar-a-Lago Resort is owned by Trump under an LLC structure. So are his golf courses, licensing deals, one of his helicopters, and some of his bank accounts. That's right. Donald Trump has LLCs for some of his bank accounts. So remember that, because if they're saying like the whole Biden family has like 20 LLCs all together, everybody who's in business, everybody who's tried to start an Etsy business, they all got an LLC or they're incorporated. It's fucking Delaware. The incorporation state. It's almost like, it's like saying, you know how to make peach pie if you live in Georgia. But I love that. Some of his bank accounts. Some. Yeah, that's terrific. Can this dickhead just not make this easy for me, please? You guys are wonderful, by the way. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Blah, blah, blah. Who has 20 LLCs? Well, Trump has 500. He has more for just bank accounts than all the Bidens put together. How about that? The Trump crime family.
He was vice president, that he received 16 of 17 payments from Romania while he was vice president. The family paid all the way.
Why? Sorry. That wasn't really English. I don't. Could anybody make out?
It's not Irish. It's not English.
How are you? Well, what is McCarthy for the horses, you know?
It's just pikey.
Payments from Romania was play with the Bidens. We've now found that the Biden family created 20 shell companies. Why?
Yes, Trump has 500 of his own and over 1,500 under the Trump organization alone.
Was vice president, that he received 16 of 17 payments from Romania while he was vice president. The family paid all the way down. Well, if you
why he was the family paid all the way down. Okay, I'm sorry. I should have understood. I should have understood that. Yeah, that was English, sort of.
You have all these questions, and you have.
Yeah, and tell you what, I love your questions. When you have some fucking answers, what's in Romania? I have no idea. Like, they don't either.
Have an attorney general who says one thing, and IRS whistleblowers coming forth saying something else. You want to know who's lying and what's the information. I would.
Okay, how about this? You have information from both. You've looked at information from both. Where's the crime? It should be fucking easy. If it's this much, again, hyperbole is not your friend the way it was in 2016.
I think the Biden family would want to know that. When you move to an
what?
IRS whistleblowers coming forth saying something else, you want to know who's lying and what's the information. I would think the Biden family would want to know that.
They do. That's why they're saying this is all nonsense.
When you move to an impeachment inquiry, it empowers Congress, Republicans and Democrats, within their subpoena to be able to get the answers they need. Because we have found time and again, we haven't seen anything like this since the Nixon administration.
Well, no. Actually, we've seen a lot like this twice over the last president. Like, you just didn't give a fuck about Trump's taxes and all that kind of stuff.
Using their government to shut down any time we had a question. I would think the Biden family...
Using what?
Government to shut down...
No. Say that whole sentence again.
Anything like this since the Nixon administration.
That part I understood. We haven't seen anything like this since Nixon. This has nothing to do with Nixon. As a matter of fact, this is, I would say... I'm trying to think, like, yeah, Iran-Contra? I'm trying to think of something outside of the presidency that, because there's no break-in. Nobody's accusing Biden of a break-in, and they're not accusing him as of doing extrajudicial killings during his presidency. So... we're going to have to go back to the 1800s.
Using their government to shut down any time we had a question. I would think the...
Using their government to shut down any time we had a question.
Time and again, we haven't seen anything like this since the Nixon administration. Using their government to shut down any time we had a question.
Okay, all right. I thought I'd be able to make sense of it. I don't know. I don't know what that is. Huh? The government, I think. But using the government to shut down it, you're in the government. You've been in the government. They didn't shut down you asking any it's so confusing.
I would think the Biden family would want to clear their name. I mean, if President...
Their name is fine. You're the one trying to dirty it up. This is like saying that... What's an analogy that won't horrify? Trying not to exaggerate it too much into the criminality that the former president himself is. Well, let's look at that. One would think, maybe this is where he gets it from, that whenever Trump is confronted by an accusation by someone that he has allegedly sexually assaulted, his response is to shit on that person. And just deny everything. And so I suppose they're expecting a similar behavior from Biden, because if he's not doing that, if he's not shitting on the person, attacking on him, or just not commenting, that in and of itself is an admission of guilt.
Biden told us ahead of time they've never got any money and that Hunter Biden was the smartest person he knew. But now we found out that he attended dinners, and after one dinner at Cafe Milano, they got $3.5 million from a Russian oligarch.
No. She invested her money. Rosemont Seneca invested it on her behalf. They didn't just get the money. She didn't just go, here's $3.5 million. See ya. Write me back when the spouses of Moscow mayors can now buy agricultural property close to military bases in the United States if you become president.
Who didn't get sanctioned after they entered Ukraine. And then we found that Hunter got a Porsche. These are questions you...
Okay, hold on. Back up. They didn't get... Who didn't get sanctioned?
$5 million from a Russian oligarch who didn't get sanctioned after they entered Ukraine. And then we found...
Yeah, she wasn't making profit. Her husband was the corrupt oligarch. That was her bug out money.
That Hunter got a Porsche. These are questions you have to understand.
Yeah, because she made a lot of money on his and Archer and whatever Heinz Kerry's kids advice.
Why? And why did the government allow the statute of limitations to run out on Hunter Biden?
Well, first of all, it's statute of limitations. There is no statute of limitations. And if there was, it would obviously be of Donald Trump's penis, and it would be so small you wouldn't be able to see it.
Biden, when
Just be like, why is there just a platform here? I'll tell you later.
they don't do that to the American public. The IRS makes you sign a waiver to extend the statute of limitations so it will not run out. But why are they being treated differently? And we should know the answers to these questions that empower.
Well, I think it's, you know what? We need a baseline. Right now, all we're hearing about is the fact that Hunter Biden paid more in taxes than Donald Trump did. My question is that, and you know, if you want to know the answers to some of your questions, you go to an expert. And Donald Trump has told you, you've got him on speed dial. He's told you multiple times that he knows all about the tax code, how to make money on it. And he's just playing by the rules. He knows every rule. And he and Alan Weisselberg can thread the needle perfectly so they don't do anything technically illegal and stay within. And if you want to know, I would call him up right now and ask him if he's ever been extended that kind of a courtesy by the IRS. Beyond the $74 million tax refund he did not deserve that he's been in litigation about because he had already spent it by the time they realized he shouldn't have gotten it. Oh, one second, hold on. Sorry, it was, let's see, 70. What I'm talking about here, the Trump's $73 million tax refund stuck with little known panel. Staff of Joint Committee on Taxation scrutinizes big refunds. Reviews by committee established in 1920s after controversies. This was in 2020. The details published about Donald Trump's tax returns were a revelation to the public, but not to a small group of attorneys who work for a little-known congressional panel. Trump has been in the middle of a dispute with the IRS over a 2010 claim of a $73 million tax refund, according to the New York Times, which obtained more than 20 years of the president's tax data. The size of the refund claim brought it before the Joint Committee on Taxation, where there is a proposed refund of more than $2 million for individuals and $5 million for corporations proposed. The committee staff reviews it before payment by the IRS. Part of the rationale for such reviews is to make sure tax laws are working the way Congress intended. In Trump's case, the IRS initially sent an audit for the refund to the Joint Committee in 2011, and an agreement was reached in 2014, but an expanding audit meant the IRS resubmitted the refund documentation for review in 2016, where it sat unresolved since then. Trump received what tax professionals refer to as a quickie refund, a check processed in 90 days on a tentative basis, pending an audit by the IRS, and then they sat on it. How normal is that? He got a quickie refund for $73 million. And they're like, well, but, don't cash it because we got to check a couple of things. The committee staff reviewed between 470 and 370 proposed refunds per year from 2015 to 2018. Most of the proposed refunds involve net operating loss carryback provisions in which a business uses losses in one year to offset profits in another, sometimes resulting in refunds of hundreds of millions of dollars, said Kenneth Keys. Thomas A. Barthold, a current chief of staff of the Joint Committee, said the staff does not comment on the receipt of any review case, nor comment on when any review case's review has been completed. Occasionally, the staff disagrees with the IRS, and the tax agency usually won't proceed with a refund over the objections of the committee. The law doesn't compel the IRS to accept the panel's determination. So that's when he said that's what he was getting when he was being audited. Remember that bullshit? When Trump said he was being audited? Oh, hi, Allison. You have a pass. You're okay. Welcome. It's okay. There was way too much math in the beginning. Anyways. So he got a $73 million check from the IRS for a quickie refund, and then they realized he didn't deserve it, and they've been fighting to get it back ever since. And that's what he said was the audit that he's been dealing with, which was not an audit at all. So, yeah, Kevin McCarthy should go just to ask.
Where's Congress, Republicans and Democrats of their committee to be able to get the information if somebody fights?
Sorry. What party do you belong to?
Congress, Republicans and Democrats of their...
Republics and Democrats? Fucking hell.
And we should know the answers to these questions that empowers Congress, Republicans and Democrats of their committee to be...
Republicans and... Obviously, he's been hanging out with Trump. They have apparently the same best words these days.
I have the best words.
Republics and Republicans. Like, it's bad enough that they shorten, like, Democratic Party to Democrat Party. But now they're just choking on their own fucking name now?
Be able to get the information if somebody fights from providing it to them.
Well, this is not... All right, this is just about flooding the zone with words. Fights with what? Back the fuck up.
Their committee to be able to get the information if somebody fights from providing it to them.
If somebody fights from providing it to them. Fuck, man. I'm surprised he's in Leno. Wow, that toaster's working overtime.
We even learned more because the Russian oligarch, former First Lady of Moscow at the Cafe Milano, where Joe dined with one of Hunter's foreign business partners. Also, that included a $120 million real estate investment on top of the $3.5 million. The oligarch in Kazakhstan, wired the money so Hunter can get himself a brand new Porsche. How great is that? I wonder what he did for all that.
It was had to do with the natural gas pipelines that they were building through there, and actually the money being spent where it was supposed to go instead of disappearing into Russia as it had for a fucking decade.
To deserve that brand new car.
To deserve that. It gets very upsetting for Sean when other people get perks.
Here's where I want to go with this, though. Because
let me guess. The gutter, the bottom.
To me, I don't care how much the media ignores it or the Democratic Party ignores it.
At least he said Democratic. I mean...
This is a real Joe Biden, not Hunter Biden, bribery scandal allegation here. We know now the following. Let's go through the facts. We know that Joe lied both as a president and as a candidate when he repeatedly denied ever speaking to Hunter, his brother, or his words, anybody for that matter, about their foreign business dealings. We know that.
Yeah, that's no. Saying hello and being on the phone call or having Hunter put you on speaker when you call him because he's trying to impress people, as a kid in Hunter's position might do, especially when people think he's a wreck and he might lose his job because of his addiction. That's not surprising at all. And you're not on the hook, Sean. Booby, you of all people. Here's what I suggest. It fits right into what we're talking about here. Sean Hannity, do me a favor. Have Michael Cohen on as a guest. Hear me out. You don't have to ask him anything about his relationship with Trump. He'll just talk about the work he did for you. Because I'm sure there are times when it's possible that you were on speakerphone with him and you can just say what you said. Everybody else, all the other witnesses to this have said that, he just asked about the weather and asked about his son, and his son put him on speakerphone and went, that's my dad. But like, people needed to believe that was really his father, which is fucking weird anyways. 20 times in 10 years. And Biden called him every single day. 20 times out of 10 years. But I would like you to just have Michael Cohen come on and ask him if you've ever been on the phone with him and what you guys discussed. Right? That's easy.
That was a lie. We know that Joe Biden
also know it wasn't.
Leveraged $1 billion taxpayer dollars in loan guarantees for Ukraine and insisted that a prosecutor be fired in 6 hours.
Right. And if the guy didn't believe that guy needed to be fired, he could call the president whose message he was relaying. Because the entire administration wanted this fucker gone. He wasn't doing a favor for anyone. And again, if Joe Biden, if this is the argument, that Joe Biden got a $5 million bribe to do something he was going to be ordered to do anyways, I want him running the economy. He's a thrilling businessman.
As a result of that, his son Hunter, who was sitting on a board that he admitted on Good Morning America that he had no experience to be on.
No. That's not what he said. He had no experience in oil and gas. That's different. They were an investment group, and he was the lobbying side of it, because they were going to start a lobbying group, and then they decided, nope, we'd actually like to get into the investment, into the capital part of it. That's what he did. You don't actually think Donald Trump knows anything about buildings, do you?
Continued to get paid. Ultimately, it was millions of dollars in the end. And my question is, tell me how that's not influence peddling.
Well, I mean, here's the weird part. You kind of have to tell us how it is, because it ain't. Again, the IMF was going to withhold $70 billion if Shokin was still around. Shokin was the godfather of Poroshenko's grandkids. Poroshenko wasn't kicking him to the curb because he was like klepto family. Shokin would start these, again, he would start these investigations, and then he would shelve the folder, and he would take bribes from organizations that if you don't keep paying me, eventually your folder hits somebody's desk. And as soon as he was kicked to the curb, those folders started showing up on desks. And Shokin he's not even a Ukrainian anymore. He had to buy Cypriot. He's a citizen of Cyprus now.
You know, the bribery statute, Mr. Speaker, does not demand that somebody benefit themselves financially. In this case, the vice president, as the 1023 form pointed out, took a specific action, and his family, was involved in personal enrichment, that being Hunter, based on his actions.
No, actually, the guy who gave him the job was forced to flee the country because the replacement for Shokin actually continued the investigation.
Is that bribery to you?
Well, here's the thing. Here's a better question. He's the Speaker of the House. He's not some random fuckhead from Bakersfield, the country with apparently the biggest murder rate in the country. Ask him as Speaker of the House if he would have wanted Shokin fired. Because I don't know how long he's been serving long enough. He knows at least the background of who Victor Shokin is. In the same situation, would you have insisted that Victor Shokin get fired, since he's the guy who is not going after corruption, and we're about to give them $1 billion in loan guarantees, and this guy is singularly responsible for looking the other way as previous money we've given to Ukraine has found its way into Russian coffers? That's the question. Would you have fired Victor Shokin? And if so, why? And if not, why not?
Well, Sean, everything that you just talked about, nobody in America knew until you had a change in Congress. The FBI didn't
Okay, yes, they did
act on their information from their informant. No one came forth. They took the word
I'm sorry, who's the informant? Oh, you mean Rudy Giuliani.
Of this president. And you were right. This isn't about Hunter Biden. This is about paying to play for the Biden family.
Okay, again, what policy did Joe Biden engage in that you would not have done had you been vice president at that exact time, or right fucking now? That's got to be the question. Honest to God, I think this is the singular question that needs to be asked. Kevin McCarthy, if you were in the same situation, would you have given Ukraine $1 billion if they hadn't gotten rid of Shokin, which we'd been trying to get them to bump for months, if not over a year at that point? Since Euromaidan, would you have given them $1 billion in tax guarantees from loan guarantees from the American taxpayer? That seems to be the easiest question. That would solve the entirety of this, because if he has to answer yes, he would have, of course, insisted that Shokin get kicked to the curb because he wouldn't have wasted $1 billion in American taxpayer funds on loan guarantees. And if he would have, I'd love to hear the story behind that. But it would boil down to this, and I think this is particularly fascinating. If indeed he believes that he would have done that, and I believe he would have, that means he thinks that Joe Biden was bribed to act like a Republican. All right.
Because the money goes to 9 different members through shell companies, much like the informant said. So we will continue to...
Much like, except for the money that the informant was talking about came from Shokin and went to tax guys in Ukraine and not to the Bidens and was there in cash. Giant bricks of cash.
Follow the information wherever it takes us and provide it to the American public.
Yeah, go for it. Follow the information. Again, I have no problem. Knock yourself the fuck out. Not worried in the least.
The difference here is we don't do it for political purposes.
All right. If that were true, you wouldn't talk about it until you found something. Until you went, oh, we have a phone call, we have something where he said he would do this in exchange for this behavior, and that's what happened. And it was something that the country would have been against. Thanks.
We follow the Constitution.
Oh, the trolls are very upset with me for pointing out the tissue argument that McCarthy and his ilk are pushing forward. It's a good time.
That's exactly what was played out during the Nixon administration. And
that was hold on. What?
The difference here is we don't do it for political purposes.
Okay, that's just fucking ridiculous.
We follow the Constitution. That's exactly what was played out during the Nixon administration.
That was exactly what was played out. How it played out, right? You're the Speaker of the fucking House. Learn to talk, man. Good Lord.
I know words. I have the best words.
In Congress, they voted to have an impeachment inquiry. And I raised it on this show not long ago.
Long ago? This is getting worse.
Because the actions of the Biden administration withholding information, that would rise to the level where we'd need impeachment inquiry to give the strength of the Congress to get the information that we need to give to the American public and follow through on our constitutional authority. That is exactly what we're doing.
Yeah, what information have you not gotten? I'm serious. I would understand if there was like Trump withholding all kinds of shit, like, I don't know, boxes of classified documents in his shitter.
And that's exactly what we'll continue to do.
But Devin Archer's quoted as saying that hiring Hunter was, for them, an influence play. Those are his words, not my words.
Yes.
We know Joe lied. We know the family benefited. We know he took actions. Why would a vice president ever go to Ukraine and demand a prosecutor get fired? Why?
Because that guy was in charge of looking the other way when corruption was happening that was funneling money out of Ukraine into Russia and specifically protecting the people that did it. And we were about to give them $1 billion. And the IMF had the same problem.
Why would they leverage $1 billion in the relationship for, if it didn't benefit the Biden family?
Because it benefited the Ukrainians and the American taxpayer. That's why.
And just like the WhatsApp message.
What's interesting is
I'm sitting here with my father. A week later, $5 million ends up in their coffers.
Does it? A week later? First of all, isn't it 3.5 that you're saying that or is he talking about? He's talking about the CEFC deal. That was to buy an oil and gas company in Texas, a deal that never went through. And it wasn't 5, it was 3 spread out. That was because the deal fell apart. Fuck, man. They're just, at this point, they're just saying $5 million because it sounds good to them. Because Trump got $15 million in one fucking night.
Now, remember, Sean, you're not putting a timeline to this. We knew about Biden going after the attorney general because he did that in his own words.
Right. Because it was his job.
We never knew because we just now got this, just a week ago from Devin, saying that they were being pushed from Burisma, saying we need to do something about this. What was that in?
No. Devin, read the transcript. Devin Archer does not say that they needed to get rid of Shokin. As a matter of fact, Shokin, according to Devin Archer, was, quote, under control. They were worried they were going to kick Shokin to the curb. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't, and they had Shokin on a cash leash. They sent him money, and he kept the fucking file off the desk. That's what Devin Archer said. Good Lord.
Dubai.
We need help from D.C.
5 days later, action are taken. Yes, when
Action are taken? Jesus Christ. Speaker of the House.
in Dubai.
We need
and lo
help
and
from
behold,
D.C.
5 days later, action are taken. Yes, when what you're finding is all this information's being gathered is coming through the investigations of the Republican Congress that we will continue to follow through, and we will continue to bring more.
You know what the good thing about Kevin McCarthy, though, is that at least he doesn't talk to us all like we're third graders in some sort of weird, condescending voice. It's at least that doesn't happen.
And we will take it wherever it takes. And if it rises to the level, we will do our constitutional duties.
Okay, that's him giving himself an out.
And this is the part I want America to know.
Okay, here it is. Finally, we're getting to the part he wants America to know. America, gather in. Come on. Lean close. Here it comes. This is what he wants us to know.
America has a right to know if there was pay to play. America has a right to know if Garland is lying to him. America has a right to know in this FBI whether they investigated. And
Yeah, we know that. We know we have a right to know that. We need to know if you know that before you say you know that. You know?
they're pay to play when it comes to this president. I would think this president would want to clear that name rather rapidly.
Clear that name rather rapidly. Shit.
Give us his bank statements. Don't
Mr.
fight
Speaker,
us
let
when
me
we
ask
need
you.
information.
Do
You have all of his taxes. What bank statements? Oy.
believe we are looking at a bribery scandal with Joe Biden, who's now president, actions he took as vice president?
Great. Yes, here it is. This is a good question, Sean. Look at this. Sean Hannity. Good question. Load it up, Sean. Let's hear the whole question.
Mr.
Fight
Speaker,
us
let
when
me
we
ask
need
you.
information.
Let me ask you. Here it comes.
Do you believe we are looking at a bribery scandal with Joe Biden, who's now president, actions he took as vice president in exchange for family enrichment?
Well, I don't know of any other family that puts together in government 20 shell companies while you're the vice president of America.
Okay, nobody has 20 shell companies in government. I don't know what the fuck that even means. And what are the adult children? Because all right, we got to go. Second. All right, he's not answering it, but let's get there. Okay. Let's see. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Let's jump in here real quick. Yeah. Give me 1 second. Let's see, that's yeah, there's that. Mm-hmm. And here we go. Okay, let's start with a generalized breakdown of this thing right here. If I may. The Trump Organization is an umbrella company for Donald Trump's hundreds of investments in real estate brands and other businesses. As head of the executive branch and a business owner, he has the ability to influence both U.S. policy and government agencies to benefit his bottom line. You know, this is true. Okay. Let's see. Eric Trump told Forbes in March he may share quarterly reports with his father despite a statement that they would not discuss business. Shortly after ProPublica reported Mr. Trump could draw money from his trust at any time without external disclosure. Ethics experts have urged Mr. Trump to liquidate his business holdings so that he can avoid any appearance of conflict. Yeah, right. Okay, American conflicts of interest. Trump International Hotel, 40 Wall Street. Dakota Access Pipeline. Sioux tribes and allies have protested for months to prevent this. Trump had a partial investment somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million in the parent company of the firm, Dakota Access Pipeline Energy Transfer Partners. Gee, I wonder if that affected any of his decision making. Deutsche Bank, remember them? One of Trump's major lenders on his real estate projects is Deutsche Bank. The bank is currently in negotiations with the U.S. Justice Department to settle a case involving misleading buyers when it sold mortgage bonds backed by risky loans. Deutsche Bank settled the mortgage bond case for $7.2 billion in late December 2016. The FCC, the president has another job title, commander-in-chief, executive producer. He will continue a big stake in the Celebrity Apprentice, Arizona, blah, blah, blah. Okay. National Labor Relations Board, the Trump Hotel, Las Vegas, International Hotel, which Trump owns, broke the law for refusing to negotiate with Hotel Workers Union. The Secret Service, of course, making him pay everything. He has, the Washington Post has reported that the Secret Service has requested $27 million extra for the overall protection detail in New York because he charges them above retail for them staying at his properties. His stocks, Jason Miller's transition team spokesman said the president sold all his stocks in June 2016, a month after the financial disclosure, but the campaign did not furnish proof nor provide an updated list of Mr. Trump's investments. Foreign holdings. According to Trump's financial disclosure, as of mid-2016, he had investments in or owned companies in at least 20 countries. Unlike his domestic businesses, Mr. Trump could run afoul of a clause in the U.S. Constitution by continuing to profit from these deals. The emoluments clause, they never even argued it. And he just, one former White House ethics lawyer has argued Trump would be in violation of the Constitution on day one. An Argentina broadcast reported that Trump allegedly asked President Mauricio Macri for his support to build an office tower in Buenos Aires while on a call during Trump's transition period. Brazil, a waterfront property in Rio de Janeiro, branded the Trump name through a licensing deal as the subject of a federal inquiry after two small Brazilian pension funds invested heavily in the unfinished project with allegations of bribery. Trump Organization has reportedly canceled their licensing deal with the developers in Rio. Trump lawyer Alan Garten told the AP in December this and a few other cancellations were normal housekeeping. Canada, you think he would have done it if he hadn't won? They held on to it until after, right? China. Well, that's a good start. The Bank of China is one of China's largest banks and also a majority state-owned. It holds the title on a $950 million loan for a New York building in which Trump is a part owner. Mr. Trump has previously labeled China a currency manipulator. Another largely government-owned Chinese bank, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, has space in Trump Tower paying rent to the Trump Organization. The Trump Organization has also previously attempted to open a series of hotels in the country. Trump Hotels chief executive Alan Danziger told a Hong Kong media outlet in October they wanted to open 20 to 30 hotels in the country in 2017. Meanwhile, Trump's son-in-law and now senior advisor Jared Kushner is negotiating a deal with China's Anbang Insurance Group to redevelop 666 Fifth Avenue, which, by the way, we bumped right by it, but if you want to help out the show, don't forget a $6.66 super chat to help us buy 666 Fifth Avenue. We're going to get there eventually. All I need is 1 billion viewers. All right. Now, Mr. Kushner has been given a senior role inside the White House. His lawyer told the New York Times he quote, would recuse from particular matters that would have a direct and predictable effect on his remaining financial interests without giving specifics. Ivanka Trump, who has her own non-paying position in the White House, has advised her father on a broad number of policy areas, including high-profile foreign policy meetings. That was the fun part. By the way, the idea that Hunter Biden was around when his dad was vice president and they had dinner a few times, Ivanka Trump literally had an unpaid advisory role. She just hung around the Oval Office all the time. And the reason she was unpaid? So that she could act on anything she heard. On the same day she sat next to Chinese president at dinner in Mar-a-Lago, the Chinese government approved 3 new trademarks from Ms. Trump's firm to sell items in China. Now, obviously, China's going to shit right now, so despite a promise to do no new deals while Mr. Trump is in office, the Trump Organization is testing that definition in the Dominican Republic. The firm with developers of beachfront planned community, but the project stalled. Oh, the firm with there's something's fucked up there. And Trump sued in 2012 for unpaid licensing fees. After the settlement, in February, owners made a show of announcing Eric Trump had toured the project. That would be trading on his dad's name, I think, is what that would be right there. Georgia. Not the state, by the way. The Trump Organization canceled a licensing deal to build a condo tower in the resort town of Batumi, Georgia, shortly after Mr. Trump won the election because he got a briefing that said Russia's probably going to blow the place up. One of the business partners involved in the deal told Forbes the firm had expressly told him the reason the deal was canceled was concerns over the emoluments clause, despite a Trump lawyer's earlier statement that the cancellation was not a part of a strategy to reduce potential conflicts of interest. India. Trump has a licensing deal for buildings in Mumbai and Pune. Indonesia, Japan, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, Turkey. By the way, if Trump let China take Taiwan, yeah, they would just give him the property. Turkey, 2008, Trump entered a licensing partnership with the Turkish conglomerate Dogan Holdings. UK golf courses, which didn't work out in his favor, just gets him he gets to drive by a bunch of people calling him a dick. Then, on top of this, Trump's many, many dealings in one map. There it is. Here's all of his holdings, his businesses or properties. There you go. In the United States, and I don't know if that's Canada or Washington State, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll count Mar-a-Lago down as 5 or something right here. Yeah? I don't know why they have it out here, but 5, there you go. And then all the rest of his businesses are outside the fucking country. Many of them in sketchy fucking parts of the world. Argentina, Azerbaijan, Bermuda, Brazil, Bahamas. Yeah. Trump has wanted to bring his brand to the Middle Kingdom, Zhongguo, for years. On his 2016 financial disclosure statement, he lists positions as multiple companies that would be connected to business in China. Trump Hotel Collection CEO Eric Danziger was quoted in Chinese media last fall as saying the company plans to build 20 or 30 hotels in the country. That's where that comes from. Trump won't divest from his companies while he's president. I could actually run my business and run government at the same time. I don't like the way that looks, but I would be able to do that if I wanted to. Trump strikes new overseas deal and raises old ethics issues. Trump's company is licensing its name for a golf resort in Oman, and the first of what the company hopes will be several overseas deals. This is during his campaign for president this time. How about this one? Trump made $160 million in foreign business deals while he was president. $160 million. $160 million while he was, and his daughter and her husband made a $2 billion deal. Everything they accuse someone else of is shit they're up to. Trump, and this was in 2017. Trump, this is after he got elected. Trump drops no new deals pledge. Donald Trump will not sell his business nor place his assets in a blind trust. While serving as president, the president-elect and lawyers involved in the negotiations said Wednesday during his long-awaited news conference. Instead, Trump's company will not enter into new foreign deals and will appoint an ethics advisor who must approve any new domestic deals in writing, according to the ethics arrangement by the president laid out on Wednesday. The lawyers also promised that Trump's businesses and assets will be put into a trust for the duration of the presidency and added he will have no involvement whatsoever in the business. That didn't turn out to be true. Trump had terminated all pending deals and would impose, quote, severe new restrictions on deals in the United States. On new deals in the United States. Son of a bitch. As previously said, his two oldest sons will manage the company with the help of a longtime executive of the Trump Organization, who is now in jail. The lawyers said Trump and one of those sons had to plead the fifth 400 times recently in New York. The lawyers said Trump will have limited information rights regarding what's happening in the company he built over decades. In all fairness, he always has that. He doesn't know the fuck what's going on. They haven't built anything in years. He just licenses the name that his dad left him. Under the new ethics plan, Trump, his children, his longtime business associates will be barred from discussing company operations and the inner workings of the U.S. government. Trump's inner workings of the U.S. government. But our foreign engagements, fine. Good Lord. Trump's team did not provide any details on how that ban would be enforced or verified. I mean, honestly, what's not to love? But anyways, please continue.
My family has no shell companies.
You live in Bakersfield.
I don't know of any other business in America that puts shell companies what do you produce?
I didn't. Do you think he wasn't watching when guys, do you think, I don't know, with the, hold on. That's the last one over here, isn't it? Right. Trump has 500 LLCs. Yeah. Some of them are just for bank accounts. You know this guy personally. Stop it. Stop saying you don't fucking know. You fucking know. You know.
Don't produce any products. And if you're an expert when it comes to foreign policy, why isn't it Italy or the UK?
Because the money in Italy and UK is the oldest on earth. And if just entry level, if you wanted to get into real estate in London, you need the kind of backers that Musk needed to buy Twitter. Does this asshole understand buy low, sell high at all? You know who does understand it? Shit, I don't even. Let's see. This is from Delaware Online. Here you go. How remember that house that Trump owned that nobody lived in and he sold for $90 million and the guy fucking bulldozed it? That's not weird. Okay. If you don't think that's weird, you're fine with that? Maggots in the chat room? Maggots, anybody? Any maggots? Remember that? By the way, we're at 2,300 people in here. Come on now. Come on. Look at this. Look at this huge group of people. You're all beautiful and thank you. By the way, like, subscribe, and et cetera, et cetera. You know who might be able to teach Kevin McCarthy a thing or two about, buy low, sell high and that kind of stuff? Analysis. How Biden made a large profit on the sale of his house. Senator benefited from 2 deals with his supporters. This is the part that everybody thought was like hinky back then. Here we go. Joe Biden likes to say he's an embodiment of the American dream, middle class guy, though he's considered one of the least wealthy senators. His net worth dwarfed by several multi-millionaire attorneys and entrepreneurs. Biden is a wealthy man by ordinary standards, worth about $2 million, but perhaps hundreds of thousands more. Like many Americans, Biden House is his most valuable asset. First elected to the Senate 36 years ago, the former lawyer lives off Barley Mill Road in Greenville, northern Delaware's priciest area, on a 4-acre lakefront estate in a 7,000 square foot custom home. Biden also owns a smaller carriage house on his property where his widowed mother lives. And it's interesting that he couldn't get like Harlan Crow to just pay for his widowed mother, because she needs a place to stay. Harlan Crow cares about widowed mothers. Just saying. All right. Local real estate agents say the Biden property is worth at least $2.5 million. $1.8 million more than the couple owes. In addition, his latest Senate financial disclosure, which lists assets and liabilities in wide ranges, shows the Biden's net worth, excluding real estate holdings and mortgage debt, is between $381,000 and minus $55,000. Whatever. Okay. Biden and his wife Jill, an English instructor at Delaware Technical Community College, have combined salaries of $265,000 a year. Between 2005 and 2007, Biden also received a $225,000 in advances for his autobiography, Promises to Keep, which he made millions on when it sold. While their earnings probably would not be enough to purchase their Greenville estate today, the Bidens have managed to live in such splendor partly because of 2 financially rewarding real estate deals with political supporters. Okay. In 1996, Biden sold a home in Greenville for the asking price of $1.2 million, more than 6 times what he paid 2 decades earlier to this guy, John Cochran III, a top executive at the MBNA credit card bank that was a longtime political benefactor. Using profits from the sale, Biden paid $350,000 to cash to a real estate executive and developer, Keith D. Stoltz, for 4.2 vacant acres, a long, narrow lot a few miles from Biden's old home. Stoltz had bought the same lot 5 years earlier for the same price. Stephen Powell, who sold the land to Stoltz in 1981, said he was surprised that Stoltz, who lived in the neighboring estate, did not make any profit selling to Biden. That doesn't sound like Keith Stoltz. Powell, an artist who now lives in Texas, said of Stoltz, whose company recently proposed a $525 million project at nearby Barley Mill Plaza, a former DuPont County office campus, whatever. Cochran did not return numerous calls for the article. Although Cochran paid Biden's asking price, Stoltz wrote in an email to the News Journal that the residential real estate market was soft when he was selling his lot. Biden would not agree to be interviewed. Campaign spokesman David Wade said in a written statement, because of his time constraints, he's doing a million miles an hour. Wade wrote that Biden's deals with Cochran and Stoltz were above board and involved no special favors. Just like millions of Americans, the Biden family has bought, renovated, and sold their home over the last 20 years and been able to have a parent live close by. This is a snapshot of life, blah, blah, $1.2 million. Okay, sold his house in North Star Development near Hockessin in 1975, 3 years after his first wife died in a car crash. He subsequently bought a 10,000 square foot former DuPont County mansion. The first-term senator paid $185,000 for the stately colonial near Hagley Museum that was owned by a now-defunct development partnership building upscale homes off of Montchain Road. He got it on the cheap because nobody was moving there. An account of Biden's purchase at the time at 6 Montchain Drive was included in Richard Ben's book on 88 presidential candidates. What It Takes is the kind of place 1,000 Italian guys died building. Hand-carved doorways, a curved hand-carved grand staircase that Clark Gable could have carried a girl down, a library fit for a Carnegie, a Bernard Baruch, someone like that. Can't remember. Joe found it one night, a couple of years after he became a senator. He was driving around like he did back then. He was snooping around Greenville, streets of his dreams, when he saw it all overgrown, boarded up. Some developer was going to knock it down. He got in the developer's face and started talking fast. Senator Biden married Jill in 1977, and the couple raised 3 children in that home. In 1996, they put it on the market for $1.2 million. Okay, that is exactly how you do it. He was driving around at night, found what did they tell you about real estate? Find the shittiest house in the nicest neighborhood and fix it up. That fall, the home sale became controversial when a pollster for Biden's reelection opponent, Raymond Clatworthy, come on, suggested during a telephone survey that Cochran paid more than twice what the house was worth. At the time, Biden called it unbelly politics, immoral, and unethical, blah, blah. The senator made a public I wonder how much that house is worth now. What do you think? 5? Yeah. Let's see. The senator also made public a 1992 document from a Delaware appraisal group prepared when Biden was co-signing a loan for his son's college education, which set the home's value at $1.2 million. It didn't even go up in 5 years after he said, all right, whatever. That didn't end the controversy. The piece noted NBA employees had given $62,000 for his reelection campaign because they liked him. I don't give a shit. Also reimbursed Cochran for his move to Delaware from Maryland, including $210 for the loss of his old home magazine. That's the guy's job. Who gives a shit? Shortly after Biden defeated Clatworthy, the magazine reported NBA hired Biden's son Hunter, a Yale graduate, to a management trainee post. Hunter Biden later left the bank and became a lobbyist. Provided the magazine with a 1996 appraisal, but the Montchain Drive's property value at 1.2, putting it at $1.2 million. The appraisal, however, listed 2 nearby properties valued at slightly over $1 million that both sold for at least $200,000 below the asking price, but they hadn't been fixed up. Silly people. Anyways, so that's the thing. He bought a house for $186,000 that they were going to bulldoze, fixed it up, and sold it for 1.2 20 fucking years later. It's so stupid. It just makes brain hurt. Here we go.
Or France hiring you? Why is it just you?
Also, or France hiring you? I don't know. You'll have to talk to George Bush. He's the one who said that France doesn't even have a word for entrepreneur.
Ukraine, Russia, China, Romania. And
all right, you're going to have to ask Andrew Tate why he's in Romania. I don't know. I think largely you're talking about investment groups. And you're excluding where the money came from to invest in Ukraine.
Why is then at the time advocating and putting your family members on boards that you want action in? Why are you providing these families Porsches? Why are you saying you have?
Wait, George, hold on. Look, I know Joe likes his Corvette, but how many Porsches is Hunter Biden getting?
No saying in this business, but now we find, lo and behold, you've gone to dinners. And after those...
You've gone to dinners? Oh, God.
Dinners, $3.5 million flows. Why do you say you have...
That, and by the way, again, that's the shutdown money.
No money from China came, but...
That after dinner, wait. After that dinner, the deal with CEFC went away. And the money that they had put in trust... I'm not fucking wasting your time money was doled out. That's what the $3 million was. Because originally it was for $40 million, and And Hunter and his partners were going to put in 5 of their own, but since it was CEFC's idea and their deal, they were supposed to fund it to the tune of $10 million in seed money or some shit like that. And ultimately, they're like, okay, but you got to put $3.5 million in trust. A portion. It was just under $4 million, I think, ultimately, for 10% of the $40 million deal that they were going to do on this company that they were going to purchase in, I believe it was Louisiana or Alabama. Anyways, it was a natural gas company, the CEFC. And this is Hunter Biden trying to get these foreign companies to buy stakes in U.S. companies and therefore, by the way, be under U.S. law, which is one of the things this asshole always leaves out. It's very weird to me. Anyways, I'm sort of just putting this together now, but according to McCarthy's telling of it, Hunter was in the process with Devin Archer and others of putting this deal together with CEFC, the Chinese energy company that was going to buy this energy company in this natural gas plant or field in Alabama or Louisiana, wherever it was. And after Joe showed up at dinner, the deal was off. And they doled out the sorry to waste your time money. That's it. That's actually how it went down. If he'd have shown up at the meal and then the price of the deal went up or that secured it, that it didn't go forward. It stopped after Biden met those people, apparently.
Now we proved it.
No, you've actually proved that the worst thing for Hunter's business is if his dad was on the call, because his dad apparently was checking up on him, and anytime it was hinky or fucked up, more than likely he called Hunter up and went, look, I'm not supposed to talk to you about your businesses. It's none of my business. You're going to do what you're going to do. But that dude's a fucking crook. Beat feet. Get away. Biden's buying children's blood from Romania for rituals. Doesn't it come from South America? Doesn't Sound of Freedom tell us that the drug cartels are now selling adrenochrome on the street in like Slurpee machines?
I think there's enough proof out there that this Biden family needs to come forward and show there wasn't a pay to.
And no, that's not how it works, dick fuck. That's not how it works. If you think there's enough out there, fucking show it. This is such a everybody in town thinks you're a whore. I think we need to get a look. You probably got pierced genitals. Let's show your genitals to everybody. If they're not pierced, what are you ashamed of? Like, that's what this is. Get the fuck out of here. Prove your case or bug off.
Play. America deserves more, and Americans want to know. And the
No, they don't, or you would have had a red wave. You barely squeaked in, moron.
one thing I will tell you is, as this Congress, the People's Congress, we will follow the facts and provide it.
It's more like the peephole Congress. Honest to God, I felt like these guys just spank it to nudes of Hunter Biden.
To the American public, just like the Constitution tells us to do.
Speaker McCarthy, thank you. We'll follow.
Yeah, we'll
closely. Hey,
yeah, we're gonna follow closely. Let us know if anything actually fucking. I don't know that. If you have any proof at all, that'd be helpful, maybe.